Most people are not going to spend a few hours every single week meal prepping, and I totally get it. When you think of meal prepping for the whole week and spending hours in your kitchen doing that, and then having to come up with a meal plan, it just gets overwhelming. Plus, a lot of times we don't want to commit to these specific things we're going to eat this week. That seems to be a hang up for a lot of people, that they think that if they meal prep these things, they're not gonna feel like eating them a few days later. Today, I wanted to show you a very realistic, very quick and easy meal prep that you can definitely find the time for every week. Even if you don't have a meal plan for the whole week, you can still do this meal prep, and it's going to set you up for a much more smooth week in regards to your food. I'm aiming to spend 30 minutes or less in the kitchen doing this meal prepping session, and I know that I can find 30 minutes to do this once a week. You would think that 30 minutes is not a big deal, and it's not a big deal to find 30 minutes, but it makes a huge difference in the way that our week goes. So here's how I approach it and how I do it most weeks. The first thing is just to get the produce that you bought that week at the store ready to be used. And it's really easy, just washing things, maybe cutting them, but at least getting them ready to go, or at least so that they stay fresh longer for you. I always try to do this with fresh herbs. Just wash them, put them in a paper towel, stick them in my refrigerator. They're ready to use, they're gonna last longer, and I'm much more likely to use them in my recipes. We also do some sort of salad every week. So this week we're using romaine lettuce. I'm gonna get that prepped to go. And I'll do a few other things, but we'll get to them as we're doing all of this. This week, I also got some broccoli. So I'm going to wash it, cut it up, and then it's gonna be ready to be used, and I can use it in so many different ways. You don't have to commit to a recipe, you can just have this ready to go. And when you're getting dinner on the table, it's so much easier to just pull this out of the fridge and start cooking with it right away, because you don't have to wash it, you don't have to peel it, you don't have to chop it, it's ready to go for you. I'm also gonna do the same with our fruit. So strawberries, we bought some cherries this week too. And it's so easy to just get it out of the refrigerator, and my kids have a snack that's healthy, delicious, and I don't have to do anything with it. If I have the time, I also like to bake something easy, a really simple recipe that doesn't take a lot of time, but it's so nice to have a homemade treat. And today I'm gonna make some banana muffins. Muffins are so easy. You don't even need to use a mixer for this recipe. It's just mixed by hand, and it's so easy, and it's great to have with our coffees in the morning, or for my kids to eat it for lunch or as a snack. So it doesn't take a lot of time, but we enjoy it. For the muffins, I have all my dry ingredients here. I'm gonna mix them up in the big bowl. Then I'm gonna get all the wet ingredients in this bowl, mix them together, combine them, mix it together, and get them in the oven. So just like with pancake batter, it's important not to overmix the muffins, because they're gonna be tougher. The more you overmix it, the tougher they're going to be and more dense. So don't overmix it, and they'll be nice and tender. I'm just gonna get these into the oven, and it's gonna take about half an hour or so, but I'll keep an eye on them and take them out when they're nice and baked through. One thing I've learned about myself is that I have to set timers, especially when I'm multitasking and doing several things at once, because I have burned more things than I care to admit, because I totally forgot that I had something in the oven. So I'm gonna set the timer, and that way when I'm in the kitchen doing the rest of the meal prep, I'm not gonna forget to check on the muffins. I even have a second timer in case I have several things going that I need to keep track of the time. We use this for school as well. So when I have multiple things going in the kitchen, I use all the timers I can get. I'm also gonna cook up some rice. I'm not gonna do anything special with it. I'm just gonna cook up a pot of rice and then it'll be in my refrigerator. I can use it for so many different things. You can do this with so many other things. Pre-cooking some kind of a side option, some grains, maybe some buckwheat, maybe some quinoa, maybe some barley, and then just have it in your refrigerator, and then you can add some vegetables to it, add it to salads, or cook up some potatoes. Just boil them, cook them in your Instant Pot, roast them in the oven, whatever, and then you can add them to breakfast bowls, burritos. You can cook them up and pan fry them, make a potato salad. So like I said, like start with something basic, cook it very simply, and then you can use it in multiple ways throughout the week. I learned this method of cooking rice from Alton Brown and it never disappoints. The rice is always perfectly fluffy, it's not all clumpy and stuck together, so this is a great recipe and super easy too. Just add your rice to some melted butter and some salt, and then use boiling water. Stir the rice around until it gets completely coated in the butter, and then pour in your boiling water. As soon as it comes up to a boil again, which is in just a few seconds, cover it up, turn it down to as low as it goes to a simmer, and just cook it for 8 to 10 minutes. And don't open the lid at all. You want it to just very gently steam in the pot. While the muffins are baking and the rice is cooking, I'm gonna start washing all of my produce. So I'll start with the salad spinner. That way I only need to get it out once a week. I wash all the things that need to go in here once a week, and I don't have to take this out more than once. And I'm gonna do my herbs in here. I'm gonna do dill, cilantro, and parsley. And then when I'm done with the herbs, I'm going to do the romaine lettuce. It's so much easier when you do batch work like this, so that when you do similar tasks all at the same time and you only need to do it once. So I just took my bunch of parsley apart and it looked nice and beautiful and perfect, but I found some of the parsley that is already starting to wilt. So I'm gonna pull out any bits of herbs that are spoiled or yellow, and I'm gonna throw them away and only put the perfect ones into the salad spinner, because it's gonna preserve the rest of my herbs and keep them fresh a lot longer. If they're stored together this way, the wilted herbs are gonna cause the fresh and perfect herbs to spoil much faster. It's the same concept as one rotten apple makes the rest of them spoil, or potatoes. Every week we have some sort of salad, and sometimes I do different salads and other times I do the same one several times a week. This week I'm going to be making salads using romaine lettuce as the base. So I'm going to cut it up and then put it in the salad spinner, and then I'm going to get it all ready to go. I'm trying to really maximize my time. So while the water is filling up and I'm getting the cilantro washed, I'm chopping up the lettuce and just kind of trying to do that while I'm meal prepping, so that way I'm not just standing around. So if I have a couple of minutes while I'm waiting for something to cook or the water to fill up the pot or the salad spinner, I can wash the dishes or, you know, just find little bits and pieces so I can get this done as fast as possible. Salad is so easy to make when you have the ingredients prepped and ready to go. So I love taking just a few minutes to do that. You can do this with other ingredients that you put in the salad, like you can roast some beets and have them in your refrigerator ready to go. You can hard boil some eggs if you like those in your salad. You can also grate some carrots and have those ready to go. And then throughout the week, you just take out those components, mix it up into a salad, and it takes so much less time and there's so much less dishes to wash after too. The last vegetable I'm gonna prep is the broccoli. So I'm just gonna wash it, I'm gonna cut off the florets, and then I'm gonna peel the stem and grate it so I can add it to salads. I can prep it very simply. That way I can use it in multiple different ways. Like I said, if you guys don't want to commit to a specific recipe, you can just prep it and then you have your options open. but it's all prepped and ready to go for you. So now this water is clean because I'm already washing the romaine. It's already clean. This is the last time. This water is pretty clean, so I'm gonna start washing the broccoli.
First wash.
Yeah, the first wash. Okay. Dry out the lettuce. And I'm gonna put this in a storage bag. And if I don't have a storage bag, because sometimes I use a large storage container, so whatever you have will work. The main thing is to keep the moisture out of your greens. So just put a paper towel or a clean, thin kitchen towel will work as well. This is super simple to do. Most of the time we have the salad at least twice a week. We'll probably have the broccoli twice a week as well. So that's already 4 dinners. And then we also very often serve something like cucumbers and tomatoes, which I don't prep those at all. I just cut them when we're serving them because it's really quick. And I just make a quick salad or we just eat them plain. So that already takes care of a lot of the side dishes for the week. The last thing I have to prep is our fruit and berries. So I'm gonna wash my strawberries and cherries. I'm gonna wash them, then I'm gonna dry them so they're not all drenched and wet before I store them in the refrigerator. I'm also going to do the blueberries at the same time. Just throw them in together. This is salted water. I'm just gonna let it sit in here for a little bit and then I'm gonna give it another good rinse before I dry it. The muffins smell so good. I'm gonna wait for them to cool off completely and then I'm gonna put them in a Ziploc bag or put them on a plate and just cover them up just so they don't dry out. They're so soft. Perfect. And you can add some walnuts or almonds, pecans in there if you want to. My boys don't like nuts, especially my youngest, so I rarely add them in. Lastly, I'm gonna make a vinaigrette that I'm gonna use for the salads as a salad dressing, and also I'm gonna use it as a marinade for some chicken. So I'm gonna marinate some chicken breast, and that way I can use it multiple different ways. Do you sense the theme? So first, I'm gonna make a vinaigrette. So I have all the measurements on my website of a lemon vinaigrette. And instead of using lemon juice, today I'm gonna use red wine vinegar. So a dressing or a vinaigrette, very simply, is just a combination of some sort of oil. I usually really like to use olive oil for salad dressings. You can use avocado oil too. And then I also add some garlic. Sometimes I use shallots, sometimes I use fresh herbs. And then I also like to add a little bit Dijon mustard. Dijon mustard is gonna help to emulsify and make the dressing or the vinaigrette a little bit creamy so it's not completely watery and super thin. You can also add mayo instead of the Dijon mustard. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of honey for sweetness. You can use maple syrup or just plain sugar, or you don't even have to add anything sweet if you don't want to. I just think it's a really nice balance of flavors. And lastly, some sort of acid. So I'm using red wine vinegar. You can use all kinds of vinegars. Apple cider vinegar is one of my favorites also to use in dressings. And then lemon juice, lime juice, orange juice. There's so many different things you can do. It's so easy to make your own dressing. And if you have these staples on hand in your kitchen, then you can whip up lots of different combinations and lots of different flavors. So I'm going to combine all of this together, shake it up in this mason jar, store it in my refrigerator, and then we'll have a dressing ready to go and we can use it throughout the week. So we'll use that for our salad. And then I'm also going to use all the same ingredients for the chicken breasts. If I was going to be cooking this chicken today, then I would just make this vinaigrette, save half of it to be used throughout the week for salads, and then I would use the rest of it as a marinade. But if you're prepping the meat ahead of time and it's gonna be in your refrigerator for a day or longer, then I don't really like adding all of the acidic ingredients because they kind of make the protein a little bit mushy. And like if you add lemon juice or vinegar to your salmon or to your chicken, it's going to even change color and the texture is going to change a little bit. So what I do is I use all the same ingredients. I just don't add the vinegar or the lemon juice. I mix it up, I season it, or you can just, season it with salt, pepper, some dry herbs and olive oil. Put it in your refrigerator, and then the next day when you're gonna be serving it, just take out the chicken and add some of that vinaigrette in right before you're gonna cook it. That way it still has the flavors of that delicious vinaigrette because acid adds so much flavor and depth to anything you cook. So I definitely don't wanna skip out on it, but I'll just add it in later. I'll be prepping everything for the chicken and the vinaigrette at the same time, but I have the chicken set aside because I don't want to cross-contaminate anything. So I'm just gonna chop everything, get everything ready to go, and then I'll do the vinaigrette. And when that's done, then I'll marinate the chicken last. And then you can just taste it and see if you want a little more sweetness, a little more acidity. It's completely up to you, or you can even change it up to have different flavors. I have some boneless, skinless chicken breasts right here. I already added the garlic while I was getting it for the vinaigrette. I just did it for the chicken as well. And now I'm going to chop up the parsley, add that in, and then you can switch up the herbs. You can do rosemary, you can do thyme, you can do cilantro or chives, whatever. There's so many different options, and I love how when you use kind of like a base, then you can switch it up and make so many different variations of the same thing and just keep it simple. You could do the same thing with chicken thighs. You could do the same thing with fish. I'm also gonna add some dry herbs and spices. This is something else you can switch up all the time and use different spices. And then salt and pepper. And lastly, the olive oil. Just drizzle some on so that it completely coats the chicken on all sides. And just mix it all together and it's done. I'm gonna keep the chicken in the refrigerator and then I can cook it on the stove or in the oven or on the grill. When you take out the chicken or any kind of protein that's cold out of your refrigerator, you don't wanna put it right onto the heat because it's gonna cause it to seize up and it's not gonna be as juicy as it can be. So leave it out at room temperature while you're preheating the oven or the grill. Then I'll pour some of the vinaigrette over it. The chicken is warming through and it's getting all those flavors of the acidic ingredients. The rice is still slightly warm and look how much we got accomplished in that time. So I'm just going to transfer it to this bowl and keep it in my fridge. And like I said, you can add veggies to it throughout the week. You can make fried rice. Fried rice is the best with cold rice. It's not great when you just made fresh rice and you want to make fried rice. So it's actually awesome to have some stashed in your refrigerator or just use it as a side dish. Add some fresh herbs to it. You can add some lime zest and juice and cilantro to make a cilantro lime rice. Use it as a base for burrito bowls and the endless are options. And the options are endless for rice. And we're done. It feels amazing to be prepped for the week, and it didn't take me that long at all, but I have so many components that are gonna make this week so much easier for me. I hope this gives you some great ideas how you can take just a little bit of time, like 30 minutes a week, and it's gonna give you such a wonderful foundation to the start of lots of wonderful meals throughout the week.